All right. Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Jennifer Streeter with BlueLineStation.com. I'm here with one of my leading writers, Jake, and we are proud to announce the start of the Blue Line Report. We started this podcast recently just because we wanted to grow our multimedia presence and get more content out there for our fans and our readers. So I'll turn it over to Jake for him to tell you guys a little bit more about himself.
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Jake Mozarsky. I have been with Blue Line Station since 2020 when I was a senior in high school. I'm now a master's student at Northwestern University, studying sports media, but the Rangers have been my life forever. My father's had season tickets since 1980. I know we're supposed to be a little unbiased as reporters, but spoiler alert, I'm a Ranger fan, and that doesn't mean my takes are all going to be biased. And just really excited to be here, do a few other podcasts, never done one about the boys, and Jenny and I have a really good relationship, so this is going to be a great time.
Yeah, awesome. I love that you ended with that, Jake. You know, you're one of my top writers, but I guess to tell you guys more a little bit about myself, again, my name's Jenny. Kind of on the younger side. I'm only 25 years old. I am a New York Rangers reporter because I got my master's in journalism at Columbia University, right in the smack dab of New York City. And while I was there, I got to attend many, many Rangers games, both credentialed and as a fan, and just really developed a love for the sport of hockey because I was coming from being a student reporter in the SEC and just college athletics, being able to see like on ice fighting and kind of the role of the enforcer is something that I personally feel that college sports have been leaning towards getting a little bit too soft for my liking. So being able to cover a sport as aggressive as hockey has really been a joy in my work life as of late. Yeah, I joined with Blue Line Station pretty recently. Actually, I'm coming up on my 1 year, so happy early 1 year anniversary to me. I started in July, so super stoked that we're getting to launch this podcast here in April.
Yeah, and I think with that, we're ready to get into the news. And it's April 1st, so I'm going to throw it to you. And we could
Okay,
say,
yeah, obviously it is April 1st, like you just mentioned, but Gabe Perrault's signing is thankfully not an April Fool's joke. I think I can speak for Jake and I when we say we're very happy about that. So I guess let's get this podcast episode started by breaking down his contract and seeing where he's fitting in at practice. So on Monday afternoon, the New York Rangers agreed to terms with the young forward on a 3 year entry level contract. This was, of course, immediately following the conclusion of Boston College's play in the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Championship at the Manchester Regional. And then at this regional, they fell, I believe it was 3-1 to Denver in a rematch of the Natty game last year. So very sorry for how that turned out for BC, but I'm happy that it worked out for, the Rangers, where we can hopefully see Perot in a blue shirt jersey as soon as Wednesday night against Minnesota. Jake, do you want to jump in with any thoughts you had on his contract?
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty normal to an entry-level contract. And I think the biggest thing here, there's 9 games remaining for the Rangers, 8 games, something like that. But the biggest thing is Gabriel Perreault is one of the best players in college hockey, and he's been so talented and coming through the U.S. system. So these players, they have a lot of say now. And so while the Rangers, there was talk about him possibly spending a year in the AHL, the bottom line is Gabe Perreault is too talented. It goes back to when he was picked 23rd overall in the 2023 NHL draft by the Rangers. The biggest thing was he was the steal of the draft. And he had 132 points in 63 games with the U.S. national U18 team. And then in his 2 years of college, he averaged over a point per game. I saw a stat the other day that he is the leading scorer in points per game in Boston College men's hockey history for anyone that's played over 150 games, I'm pretty sure. And he passed Johnny Gaudreau. Gabe Perreault is really, really good at hockey. And the biggest thing with this contract, he gets experience and he gets to add stuff to the Rangers who are on a playoff push right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good insight there. Jake, I do want to add that he was originally selected by the Blue Shirts in the first round. I believe he was the number
Yes.
23rd pick overall in the 2023 NHL entry draft. Um, for Boston College, the 19-year-old recorded 16 goals, 32 assists for 48 points in 37 games during his sophomore season, which was this year. Jake, you mentioned him being too good to not go straight into the NHL. And I do want to add that Boston College isn't alone in the fact that Perot is the only guy they're sending. I believe it's Ryan Leonard also went to Washington. And I know you just retweeted this clip on social media as, we're all over each other's Twitter. But anyway, how just like the BC boys like actually came up and got to see Ryan do his rookie lap in Washington. I thought that was super cool to see. I'm really excited to see if the boys do make the trip. I'm super thick at geography, whether it's down or up, but from to get to New York City at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday, I think that'll be super cool to see. Breaking down, Gabe was actually at practice this Tuesday. So as we're recording that, that's today where the media really got their first chance to speak with him, which I thought was really exciting. He did mention how he's excited and a little bit nervous because he's not necessarily sure whether his debut is going to be Wednesday or not. But I really do feel like all arrows are leading in that direction. He was currently working on the Power Play 2 unit.
Yeah.
Um, so I think really good fit for him. That's definitely where he belongs. I do want to add that Chris Kreider, who holds a special place in my heart, just because I think he's such a good leader off the ice. Gabe did disclose that Vincent Trocheck and Kreider were some of the first people to text him after he signed on that dotted line. So I think that's just a super cool point as well.
Oh, for real. And talking about a full circle moment, if you go back to the 2012 season, 2011, 2012, the Rangers for the postseason signed this Boston College player named Chris Kreider to an entry-level contract, and he was a major part of that playoff run. The Rangers lost in six to the Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals. 10 years later, or 13, I'm terrible at math, Chris Kreider, who's the Rangers' all-time leader in power play goals, he's tied for first right now, one of the best Rangers of all time. He's going to have his number in the rafters. And maybe his last season in New York, he gets to welcome another Boston College guy who's so highly touted.
Yeah, talk like you said, talk about a full circle moment for him. And I really think that
Right?
this season in particular, Kreider is one of the Rangers who's just super underappreciated, like in the fan base. I definitely know that there are going to be people who don't agree with this take, but I think a lot of people underestimate how important it is to have that guy in the locker room who has that experience with the team and who has that leadership voice. You look at players like Matt Rempe, where he was talking about the guy I worked with primarily in the off season was Chris Kreider. And I think Jonathan Quick is another one of those players who, again, Matt Rempe was like, yeah, no, like I literally lived with Jonathan, like, and his son, like during the off season. I just think like players like Jonathan and Chris Kreider are the players who really like to take these young guys under their wings and help really develop them. So I'm curious to see who Gabe kind of turns to be that leadership role for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like everybody who's watched the Rangers would admit Chris Kreider's not having the season that he expected or anyone expected. But the bottom line is he's a Rangers legend and he's a great presence to have around the team. And Vincent Trocheck might be the next captain of the New York Rangers. And to have those two guys and have Gabe Perrault talking about them reaching out to him, making him feel comfortable. And then tomorrow he's on a line probably if the lines stay the same from today's practice, he'll be on a line with JT Miller, who was a Ranger for 5 years before getting traded and now is back in the Rangers. Premium center in the league, veteran leadership. And then Alexis Lafreniere, who same type of expectations as Perreault. Lafreniere, number one overall pick, guy that could skate. He's young. So the Rangers, like they have real I don't know what the locker room looks like right now, but having Chris Kreider and Vincent Trocheck there absolutely doesn't hurt. And having him on a line with Laffy and JT Miller doesn't hurt as well.
Yeah, I think they also had him working on that unit with, I think you hit everyone except for Keandre Miller. And then, of course, here's Johnny. So, really excited to see where he fits in. I guess we'll end our segment on Pro by giving predictions on whether we will see a debut for him on Wednesday night. I'll start us off. I'm going 100% yes. I think it would be an absolute waste for him to have signed his contract like immediately after BC got eliminated in the NCAAs for him to then immediately make the trip down and be at practice for him to not see like one shift on
Oh,
Wednesday
totally.
night. So like I definitely think we're gonna see him skate. I don't know for how long. I do think it'll be his total ice time will be on the lower side, but I do think that we're gonna see him play, and I do think some of those BC boys will be in the audience as well.
They better be in the audience. I think he's absolutely playing, and I think his ice time is going to be a little higher than people expected, or else he
Okay.
wouldn't have been on the line with Alexi Lafreniere and JT Miller, who have been New York's two best players, arguably, these past 3 games. Miller had a 3-game goal scoring streak going into San Jose. I don't remember if he scored in San Jose. Lafreniere's been skating better. I do agree with you that his ice time might be a little lower towards the end of the game, especially if it's a close game, because that's a hard thing for a 19-year-old to navigate. But at the same time, I think the Rangers are learning that they can't just throw these really talented young guys like Brennan Othman, Brett Berard, and guys who perform really well at these lower levels into a fourth line role because that's not what they are. And so I think Perrault is going to get a lot of time, especially in the first period with Miller and Lafreniere. And the Rangers, for some games, just have no offensive jump. He'll give them that. So absolutely plays tomorrow. The BC boys better be there. And if the Rangers win, Chris Kreider better be the first to give him a hug. And BC Hockey will post that.
You bet they will. I will say, what do you think Ryan and Gabe's texts are like right now? Like their individual texts, like it's gotta be like, dude, I just landed, like I'm going straight to practice, like I need a Red Bull or something like that. Oh my God, like to be in their phones right now would be absolutely insane, I'm sure.
It would be absolutely ridiculous. They played on the same line, and then James Hagens is going to be the number one pick in the 2025 NHL draft. And then you add on the fact like the Rangers might play the Capitals in the first round if they make it. And there's a very good chance the Rangers play the Capitals in the first round if they make it because New York, if they make it, they're going to get the wild card too. And Washington's probably going to be the number one seed in the East. So imagine Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perrault at the start of the season at BC. They're focusing on a national championship, but imagine them thinking, we're going to play each other in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And that's a real possibility too. So,
It's like their text would be like, dude, like we were just in NCAA's.
right? It's
Like, go,
insane.
like help.
And it's insane. And did you see like the video of Ryan Leonard at the bar with Alex Ovechkin? Alex Ovechkin singing Bandsmaker Dance? Like stuff like that is so cool and it just flips like a switch. And that is really awesome to see. And they're both super talented. And they're both going to be in this league for a really, really long time.
I'm gonna do a weekly keeping up with the Rempes, like I call it. As I previously mentioned in this podcast, just coming from being a student reporter based in, covering college sports, never really got to cover that level of aggression before. So definitely super excited to get into a little bit more of the Rangers enforcers' personal life. So unfortunately, as I say, on Tuesday, Rempe was in a no contact jersey at practice today. This kind of goes back to the start of their West Coast trip where, he kind of had that on ice fight that like wasn't really a fight and he lost his balance like before anything real happened, which is fine. A lot of people are speculating that when that happened, he did sustain an upper body injury. Just because immediately after that he was put on a week to week status with an upper body injury. However, I will say one thing that is interesting is if more blue shirt fans are looking to keep up with more about Matt Rempe, that they should really check out Ali Rempe's TikTok, his like I think it's his older sister, but she's like a really talented content creator who's super into like thrifting online. So she does a lot of like content related to that. But just when the Rangers came to the West Coast, Rempe really got to spend a lot of time with her. And like it was so crazy because after he released that like he's on week to week status with an upper body injury, Ali fucking posted that they were at Disneyland together.
It
So
was incredible.
like absolutely incredible. Like, and I saw that and I'm like, are you okay? Like, what is happening right now? But no, yeah, he was literally at Disneyland with her. And then I think she also like got him like a new wardrobe again from like thrift stores where they did like a backyard fashion show like in her backyard. So just really super fun stuff. Obviously, it sucks that we're ending our first keeping up with the Rempes on a negative note with his, no contact jersey, but super cool that we got to see a little bit more like behind the scenes stuff with him over this past week. I will say though, like I was really speculating that it wasn't a super bad injury and that he was kind of just putting himself on week to week status so he could enjoy that time with his family. And I really thought that like when he got back to New York, like it would be fine and back to normal just because I'm like delusional, which is fine. But yeah, I was really surprised to see that he was in a no contact jersey today at practice. So I'm giving him like I'd say like he'll be back in like 2 games. I really don't think it's anything that serious. But yeah, Jake, I'll turn it over to you on if you have any thoughts on any of that.
Yeah, I also agree with that. Sorry, the train's going on in my background right now. He wouldn't have went to Disney World or Disneyland if it wasn't if it was a concussion. It's too loud. He wouldn't have went on roller coasters if he had a concussion. I get it. Matt Rempe doesn't come off as the smartest guy sometimes, but he's smart enough to do that. And the thing I'll say, and we're going out like this, we are very pro Matt Rempe, and I think every Rangers fan should be pro Matt Rempe because the refs treat him a little poorly, but that's not even how I
A
should say it.
little is like
It's a lot because he's bigger than
a
everyone.
little is like no, like they owe him an apology.
They
Like,
fully owe him an apology. And he wins, he doesn't win the Rangers hockey games, but you cannot deny that the Rangers are a better team with Matt Rempe in the lineup, especially last year, the 2024 season. That's fine because Rempe was playing 4 or 5 minutes a game. He's getting at least 10 minutes. He is going to be a good fourth liner in this league. Shout out Broadway Block. They'll be on this podcast eventually. Huge Rempe
my
guys,
boy
too.
Steve, we love Steve.
Yeah, we
Joining
love Steve.
BLS soon. Be on the lookout for that.
Right? Exactly. Matt Rempe, and I think this is the best way to end it. The Rangers are better with him in the lineup. And he's going to be a
Period.
bottom six for them for a while. And he's a restricted free agent. They're going to bring him back. Don't worry. Yeah, no, Matt Rempe will be here for a while. He's a fan favorite. I forgot who said it. It might have been Sam Rosen saying, like, I haven't seen anything in any sport sweep the city like that. It was either Sam Rosen or it might have been Boomer Esiason, but message is the same. Matt Rempe is a positive influence, and he scores. So, yeah.
Zibanejad back to Fox, right side of Panarin. Quick movement, shot, score!
Wow.
Mika Zibanejad! It's a power play goal!
Speaking of, Sam Rose and Jake, I'm gonna hype you up a little bit here,
Perfect.
because the other week you were on site at MSG interviewing fans for Blue Line Station, talking about their favorite Sam Rosen moments because you were in MSG on Sam Rosen night. So I guess why don't you tell us a little bit about Sam Rosen and yeah.
Totally. Sam Rosen is the heart of the New York Rangers. He has been the play-by-play broadcaster since 1984, and this is his last season. Every Rangers fans knows that. Clearly, every team knows it because every away game, Sam Rosen gets another bottle of wine, and so that wine cellar's got to be really strong. But being there on Sam Rosen night or Sam Rosen day, they called it Salute to Sam. Well, first off, you got a commemorative ticket, which I have somewhere that I'll post as a graphic. And then Sam came onto the ice right before the game and gave a speech. And little story time, I was lucky enough to be in the section right behind there. And I
Oh,
started,
I actually didn't know that. I did not know where you were sitting. Okay,
I
shout
got
out
got really, really lucky. And I started crying. And I think a lot of people started crying,
manly
cheering for Sam
tears.
Rosen. Yeah. And my contact fell out. And so I watched the rest of the game with only like this because I couldn't see. And that's how much Sam Rosen means. And Sam Rosen has given so many memorable calls over the years. You could go to the one last year against the Hurricanes on the radio where you could hear Dave Maloney screaming behind him, or 2022 Game 7 with Rangers win. Chris and Jack mentioned that to me in one of the interviews. Check out the full video on Blue Line Station. Other huge ones, and this one will last a lifetime. Is any Rangers fan going to forget that? And when talking to my dad about just what Sam Rosen meant, my dad's been a Ranger fan forever. You get choked up because you cannot separate the Rangers and Sam Rosen. It's just impossible. And you see how much he means too, because now Sam Rosen's going to national television again and pairing up with his longtime partner, John Davidson, on April 9th against the Philadelphia Flyers. That's going to be awesome. And the last way I'm going to end this right now, nobody will forgive the New York Rangers. You can forgive the New York Rangers for a lot of things this season. They've dealt with injuries. They've gotten unlucky sometimes. Being unlucky might not be an excuse in hockey, but it's just the way the puck drops sometimes. The one thing people will not forgive the New York Rangers of is not sending Sam Rosen out right. And so the
Wow. Yeah,
Rangers
mic drop.
the Rangers need to send Sam Rosen out right. I tweeted this in August, and nobody knew that the Rangers season was gonna be as poor as it was. I think a lot of people thought the Rangers would be a shoo-in for the postseason. Send Sam Rosen out right. Let him call more Rangers playoff games, even if they get smoked in the first round. That's still four more Sam Rosen games because the Rangers are going to miss him so much after. And I think everybody I talked to at MSG and everybody that I've ever talked to that likes the Rangers or likes hockey has only good things to say about Sam Rosen. Only
No,
good.
exactly. I mean, I think it's a power play goal will like
Yeah,
there's truly like no topping that. And that sounds like such a simple sentence, but like as Rangers fans who listen to this podcast know, like no one will ever be able to say that phrase like Sam Rosen.
never. Never. And There's so many other things too. It's probably going to be Kenny Albert on TV after, and Kenny Albert's great, and Rangers fans love him. He's really good. It's very hard to replace Sam Rosen, and he's going to give you so many things, and that's why he's a Hockey Hall of Famer. That's why he gets a bottle of wine everywhere he goes. That's why he gets saluted everywhere he goes. And the way Rangers fans were chanting Sam Rosen, he got what he deserved because, and they should hang a banner immediately. And I think they will hang a banner for him eventually because he
Okay,
absolutely,
I'm going to play devil's advocate on that. I think they
yeah,
should rename the press box after him.
that would be awesome too. That might
Like
be
I think it should be like at Madison Square Garden. I think it should be like the Sam Rosen press box.
that honestly might be better than a rafter, especially if they could put it on a sign or something.
Mhm.
That might be better. Then the
Yep.
bottom line is the guy deserves to be monumental in the
Yeah,
world.
no, at Rangers PR department, like do your best for him, please.
And they will. And so for the New York Rangers, do your best for him too. Keep that in the back of your heads because Sam Rosen means a lot to those guys in the locker room too. Send them out right and play with heart. That's all I could say with Sam Rosen because he's given so much heart to this team forever.
I guess let's end the Blue Line Reports episode 1 with talking about playoff standings and then the Rangers' upcoming return to MSG against Minnesota. So I guess getting right into it, obviously the Minnesota Wild have a leg up when it comes to their record wise. They're 41, 28, and 6 compared to the Rangers' current record of 35, 32, and 7. And I really think it sucks because I've literally said this in every article I've written, but like this game is such a make or break where it comes to the playoff standings. But to be fair, like every single game from here on out is going to have that mentality just because the Rangers are currently tied with Montreal for 77 points and sitting at third for that wild card spot with Ottawa number one. I think also like when you factor in the Rangers like strength of schedule, especially like the strength of their schedule with their games remaining, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like they currently have the third hardest schedule remaining in the NHL. They have bouts with 7 different teams, 5 of which are currently already in the playoffs. And so they really have to knock out these wins against some of the hardest competition out there. I will say the one saving grace in this department is the Detroit Red Wings, who sit behind the Rangers at 74 points. Like I just mentioned, the Blue Shirts are currently at 77. So, and the Red Wings do have the hardest schedule out of all of the remaining teams. So I think that's kind of like helpful to go back on. But I don't know. The hope for the Blue Shirts is really that they just need to win as many games as possible and hope for as many losses as possible for Montreal. So I guess that's kind of like bare bones, as simple as I can make it. Jake, why don't you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I think you put it really well. The Rangers have a really hard schedule. They play at the Devils. They play the Wild tomorrow. That's a huge game. They play at the Florida Panthers. They play the Tampa Bay Lightning twice. The Lightning have been one of the hottest teams in the league. They play at Carolina. The Rangers have to win games. I've been saying this since the Christmas break, and I post it every time the Rangers win. It's inch by inch. You got to get in. Every point's going to matter. Every win's going to matter. And that's why a lot of the losses, a la the Ducks a few days ago, a la the 2 losses to the Avalanche, the Senators loss in early February, the Blue Jackets loss where they smoked the Rangers. That's going to pile up. And if the Rangers miss the playoffs by a few points, those are the losses that are going to sting the most. I will say Columbus will probably be tied with the Rangers when the Rangers take the ice on Wednesday night because they're winning 5-3 against Nashville. And Nashville, I'm sorry, if Nashville comes back, prove me wrong, clip it, Predators, go for it. Yeah, no, the Rangers have a really tough schedule. And the one other thing I'll say with this, do I trust them to win these games? Not really, but they can.
No, like not really. Like, no, we don't trust them to win these games, but we're hoping for the best.
Exactly. And the one other thing I'll say, and every Rangers fan has to admit this, if it's between the New York Rangers, the Montreal Canadiens, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the New York Islanders, and you could throw in the Detroit Red Wings too if you want to. The Rangers are the last team you'd want to play. And I'm not only saying that as a Rangers fan, and that's because of one reason. You look 200 feet across the ice and 31 standing there. Igor Shesterkin has the highest total goals saved above expected for any goalie in the playoffs in the past 15 seasons combined. And he's only played in 3 of those. That is a ridiculous stat. So I think anybody who watches the NHL will go, we don't want to play Shesterkin. It doesn't matter if the Rangers are not as good in front of Shesterkin as they were, and they might not be as good as the Montreal Canadiens or the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that's a debate for another time. We're not going to go into that. But
But no,
31
like
is still there.
his new contract that was given to him in December, like Igor is the highest paid goaltender in the NHL for a reason. And I do want to add that like people don't want to play the Rangers not just because of Igor, but because their alternative is Jonathan Quick, the
Yeah,
first US born goaltender to, hit that career milestone as well. Like Jonathan also deserves love too, because yes, like he is a backup, but for being a backup, like he's a damn good goaltender.
he's one of the
Um,
best in the league. He's one of the
what
best
was
backups.
that stat, Jake, that he was the first US born goaltender to reach what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
400 wins. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. That was it. I couldn't
He's
remember
the
if it
greatest
was
U.S.
400 or
goaltender of
like,
all time. And the Rangers, I'm sorry to cut you off. The Rangers just extended him for the second time, and he's going to be 40
yes.
years old. That's how much they trust him. And he was Matt Rempe's dad. Jonathan Quick has been an absolute revelation for this team. And so the Rangers goaltending, it feels like for years, has always been incredible, dating back to Mike Richter. And once again, like you have the winningest American goaltender ever and one of the best goalies of all time. And then you have the highest paid goalie to ever exist. And so that's a really fearsome combo because the Rangers will have the goaltending advantage against almost every team. Like the
Yeah,
one,
and I want to add that like their dynamic, like you see the clips that are posted on Twitter, like Jonathan and Igor's dynamic is literally so cute. Like
right?
they are always the first to each other, like off the ice, on the ice, like head pats, like everything. Like their dynamic is really good, and I was really glad to see them follow up Igor's contract with a Jonathan extension as well. Like I think that they just build off of each other so well. I think just taking this podcast episode full circle, I think seeing where Gabe fits in with the remaining games and like what he brings, I think that'll be really interesting. And I'm hoping that only adds to, hype for hopefully getting the Rangers in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it goes without saying that Gabe Perrault is going to add an offensive jump to this team. He's always been a good skater. There's a reason why he averaged 2 points per game in the USA U18. There's a reason why he was top 10 in college hockey in points. The guy can skate. He's going to provide the Rangers a lot of jump. And I'm excited to see him in these remaining games. Even if the Rangers don't make the postseason, you're going in with a very similar top six next year. And Gabe Perrault is going to be a part of that. And it's going to be really fun to watch. And he's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect point to end on. So, yeah, everyone, this was Jake and Jenny's first edition of the Blue Line Report. Be sure to tune in for more and looking forward to getting episode 2 to y'all soon.
The blue line to Panarin. Skates right. Feeds Fox. Left side to Zibanejad. Back to Fox. Right side to Panarin. Quick movement. Shot. Score!
Wow.
Mika Zibanejad. It's a power play goal. And it's 6-2 Rangers.